If there's any other business that should come before the board, now is the time. Seeing none, we're going to move on to board business. A is a proposal text amendment to Josephine County. Sorry about that. Got it. Proposed text amendment to Josephine County, Oregon Rural Land Development Code, RLDC, to address growing OLCC regulated marijuana on rural residential lands, road, and water.
Hey, my name is Julie Schmelzer. I'm the Director of Community Development. With me is Nora Schwartz. She's a planner too. She's very well versed on the road issues. She used to work with the Public Works Department. So I brought her along in case we have questions on the roads. The two issues that were relayed over for discussion, or the final issues I believe, were access and then water. Based on conversation the other day, I did remove the water standards from that. We can put that back in if the board wants.
I just, our copy in the book is not the color coded version. So as far as seeing the changes and all that kind of stuff based on, is this what you emailed on Tuesday after we talked? Or is it further changed since then?
No, it's Tuesday after we talked.
Okay, so hold on just a second as I find that email so I can see it in color, because black and white just all blurs together for me.
It looks like this, if that helps.
Yeah, I found the email, so just saying there's 3 attachments. Okay.
Okay, so based on our conversation, I removed the water regulation.
So on the black and white version, it's going to be...
I got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Page 73. Okay, go ahead, Julie, sorry.
Okay, so I'll start with the last one first, because I think it's easier to get out of the way. So based on the conversation the other day, I removed the water truck standard. So hopefully that's okay. And then looking at the access standard, we were trying to figure out, exactly what type of roads that should apply to. And, I was going back and forth. Do we look at restricted residential, limited residential? Do we get into that level of detail? And in speaking with Nora, it sounded like maybe the best thing that would work would be to say nor off any other maintained road. And she actually just suggested nor off any other maintained public right-of-way. So
Okay, any other owner maintained?
it's nor off any owner-maintained public right-of-way.
Instead of maintained road.
Yeah.
So that's different than the email one too. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, she just gave me that suggestion.
So what exemptions could be there? I mean, if they have contract with all the owners of the road who've given written permission or something, is there an exemption to that could be put in place, or?
No. They already, most of them already have maintenance plans in place, agreeing that everybody has to pay. As we discussed the other day, the problem is people are coming in, growing, tearing up the road and leaving, so they're not getting the roads repaired. So the owners, the people with the homes, are stuck with it. So this was the way to ensure that basically the roads aren't torn up and the neighbors aren't left holding the bill to repair the road.
And again, to me, why is this our level of dealing with when they have maintenance agreements in place already? There's contracts already in place that is on private property. And if somebody in that homeowners association or neighborhood agreement is outside of that, there's already a possibility that they take them to court. They can lien the property for what's owed.
Well, not all of them have maintenance plans on them, okay? Or maintenance agreements on them. So that's one thing to consider. The other one is the experiences that are shared with us are people are trying to get the growers to do something. They just keep ignoring the landowner. Yes, they could take them to court. It's kind of an undue burden on the other homeowners to have to take somebody to court to enforce something that they agreed they were going to do in the beginning.
Are these maintenance agreements, are they transferable? In other words, if for instance,
Yes.
somebody buys, we've got 5 houses and this guy buys this back.
Successors, heirs, and assigns.
They do.
However, many road maintenance agreements are the equivalent of a handshake.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna say, it's
then there are others that are
degree
actually
of
legally recorded.
Legality's probably out there a mile.
Yes, yes. And typically, the handshake version are with the roads that have been in existence for quite some time. They're
Yeah.
still viable roads, but there is no legally recorded document that further substantiates people's responsibilities for maintenance. It's just, we all get along, we all pitch in.
There's a pretty good population of people, of growers that just go and lease their land from Edith and Harold that have lived on this land for 40 years. And they approach Edith and Harold and say, we want to lease your land. We're going to grow on it, and so on and so forth. Go in, pull your drapes down, turn the music up, and we'll do everything. And Edith and Harold need to know that if they're, they've got the agreement with all their neighbors, and they've leased to an organization that's just going to rip the road up, that they will be responsible for that. There isn't any, I guess it stems back to the handshake agreement again, to what level the actual agreement is for maintenance on the road. Because it should follow, Edith and Harold decide to rent out, part of their, whatever they're getting for it. Maybe it's, hey, you're gonna have to revitalize that road before winter gets here.
The wording of this section isn't very, nor off any owner maintained road. Doesn't feel like it fits where it's at. OLC regulated marijuana production site located in a rural residential zone shall be accessed off of a private road or easement, shall be accessed, shall be accessed off unless producer owns all the land abutting said private road or easement, nor off any owner maintained road.
And we'd say public right of way in this case. That's the change we made.
But it just seems like it doesn't fit of the or easement.
Would you prefer it say nor access off any other maintained road?
Owner, yeah, if you stop where it says accessed and put, maybe another sentence that says, or off of any owner maintained road. Because that's what you're doing. We just got that big long off a private road and easement unless the producer owns the easement.
Oh, I understand. You're saying put it.
Easement,
It goes up
put
after easement.
off or any owner maintained road put in there after easement.
Yeah.
And then it should
Unless they
essentially
own all
end
the land
unless the
abutting.
producer owns all the land.
Yeah.
So if you move that into comma, easement, comma, off any owner maintained road, comma, unless the producer owns the land abutting, so on and so forth. I think that would make it.
Yeah, private road, comma, easement, comma, or
Does that make
any
sense?
owner public right of way.
That makes it flow a little bit, I think, easier.
I think so too.
Okay.
Yeah, we can move it forward to have the language. I think it's one that's going to be debated and challenged and not necessarily, that's why there's a hearing, that you go forward and you go through them, but at least getting the language agreed upon to move forward with.
And I'm glad we're addressing this road maintenance stuff, because that's one of the subjects that comes up. Hey, they're tearing my road up. Hey, guys. But you would get the same thing if somebody moved in and had 4 teenage boys with pickup trucks that came and went a lot. And this day moved in, and all of a sudden, hey, they're tearing the road up. So
That might be a little easier to maintain because there's still a homeowner there.
Yeah.
And they're year round versus somebody who comes in, does a crop and leaves.
Yeah.
Is not the property owner still just as equally responsible for the damage? So regardless of a grower coming and growing and leaving, the property is still owned by somebody.
It's still owned by, under these rules, it would be owned by the grower.
So they're under, what happens for any other private road where a logging truck goes through because somebody cleared their own property and it destroys the road? Do they all pay equally, or is the person who ran the logging truck because they cleared their property pay it.
Depends what that maintenance agreement says.
Yeah, that's.
But that's just it. There's maintenance agreements already in place for people to deal with this. There is a property owner that was the cause of the damage. There's already a course for them to go for through civil court. And that is an appropriate response if somebody is not taking care of their legal obligations, is you take them to court.
Well, and keep in mind too, when you're talking logging, you're talking like a woodlot resource zone or a forest zone. These are rural residential. The roads we're talking about are typically those that are serving like 5 or fewer lots. Oftentimes a dead end road. Well, they would be a dead end road.
I see the importance of putting this in there just strictly because, no matter how many times you name, it's named somewhere else in the code, but this is a code specifically pointed towards an industry, I think. And so therefore you need to say that it applies here too, as it does in other parts of the code. This thing could be, the basic language other than the first 5 or 6 words could be applied to anything in other parts of the code, is what I'm saying. So I see the value in putting it here, just to bring it up, when you hand somebody that piece of paper and say, this is a new code, as approved by the Board of County Commissioners, that's in there. Not that, don't refer to such and such and such and such.
One thought I had stemming from your scenario of, I don't know, Bob and Edna who've owned a property on that road for 40 years. What we might want to think about is maybe one or more of those landowners are not in a financial position to adequately deal with going to court. If you couple that with the potential of the amount of damage that could be caused by this type of industry, if you will, on that road, maybe it's a disproportionate risk for the folks who are already residing on that road and maybe, as I say, can't afford to pursue through the court process. I don't know if it's even appropriate to think along those lines, but it came to my mind.
It's not why we make legislation.
No.
And without an exemption of, they might not own all the land abutting it, but what if they did have signed contracts or a permission slip of each of those property owners? Then why are we regulating somebody out of that they've coordinated with their neighbors in a way that is not harmful? I guess from my standpoint, I still think the easiest thing is to say no commercial operations of any sort, any industry on residential property, except go through a permitting process to see your impact on your neighborhood for commercial and residential. Then it's not going after an industry. It's not anything specific. You're looking at how does this business in a residential area impact, and it keeps it simple and neutral and fair to everybody. It's any business in a residential gets equal treatment. And if there's a way to this, and it's absolutely not, when everybody on that road is in agreement, there's got to be a means for somebody to have an exception when they all know the risk, or they, I'm releasing the risk. We agree to pay the thing. We don't mind him being there, or something like that.
They could apply for a variance. I mean, we don't do variances very often. I think one thing to keep in mind is the reason why we're doing this and targeting marijuana is this is what 2/3 of those that voted in May had asked us to do. So we're looking at how to achieve what was in that ballot measure. Then also because the state says you can. This is the one crop, the one thing you can single out and put the rules in place to help your county reach what the public wants and be in compliance with your comprehensive plan. We do have transportation sections in the comprehensive plan. Our intent is to have the roads maintained, and especially when you're looking at like nor off any other or any owner maintained public right of way, keep in mind this is reserved for the public, so it should be maintained to a degree, and it's you know, if everybody was responsible and was maintaining their road, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. But that's not what we're finding.
And we're talking civil action. Say you say, okay, well, and Commissioner Morgan bringing up a good point. Yeah, civil action can be taken, but civil action has to point towards something that's on the books. And so this puts it on the books
Good
for
point.
a judge, no?
No, you can show damage without something being on the books. You can show that the harm has been made by a neighbor towards you, and there's farmers that put a chemical on their field and it went up in the air and 20 miles away landed on somebody else's field, and they were able to successfully sue in civil court showing an impact on that property. It has nothing to do with what's on the books. Civil court's not criminal law, it's not rural development land code, it's civil court. It's so, I mean, I'm just saying that, well, it is what it is. So you've got the feedback from your liaison and Commissioner DeYoung, which is enough to move forward with it.
Okay.
And
And then are you okay with the removal of the water?
yes,
Yes.
I don't want to restrict that.
Okay. So it's, was there anything else maybe that you had questions on in there?
What is the
That we
time
didn't
frame from
cover?
here for notifications and timelines and
Well,
publications in the paper and all that
Sure.
kind of stuff?
so to try and coincide with, I think our goal was to, when on January 1st, when the state's rules changes, we wanted ours to be right around that time frame. So in order to do that, this would have to be heard the third week in September.
So that'd be the 20th
The 20th.
at the,
And we don't have 2 weeks' notice right now to do that.
We need 10 on this first one, I think.
10 business days. We're still past that.
10 days.
10 calendar.
Yeah.
Okay.
calendar day.
I did tell Pat I would stop by after and just go through the changes with her so that we can finalize everything.
10.
And-
Calendar only brings us to the 17th.
Yeah,
which
so
is
anything
what,
that
a
week
Sunday?
is open. Commissioner DeYoung and I are out Thursday, Friday that week for our last county college.
Monday
But-
I have surgery and we do these on Wednesdays, so it would be the 20th.
Alrighty.
20th?
Well, you'll work with legal to get it going through the
Yep.
process.
And then the second one would be 2 weeks after that, which would be, First Wednesday in October.
something.
yeah. Commissioner, can I
I
have a
don't-
copy back from my binder?
Sure. Always hesitate to do something of this magnitude on the 20th, but Simon's got broad shoulders. He'll be here on the 21st and 22nd.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The last item is matters from commissioners. Commissioner DeYoung?
I had a city officer approach me and wanted to know what we could do about trespassing people off of the steps of Ambassador. They don't have anything in their books that say we have anything that allows them to actually take people away from there.
I would
So-
suggest you contact legal and ask them to look
Talk
in
legal.
options.
And then the next thing is, I told him, I said, well, I said, we'll look what we can do for doing that, putting up loitering signs, no loitering signs and whatnot at the entrance to Ambassador, but we're gonna need a loitering or vagrancy law in the city of Grants Pass. And we keep getting told by Grants Pass legal counsel that can't do that. But we also got told that there was no such thing as a panhandling law where you couldn't hand stuff from people, and as you and I were on city council, we got that done. So I'm interested in finding out what we need for a vagrancy or loitering law, and if there's something that wouldn't be challenged.
So what they're asking us to do is actually give them a trespass
Yes.
warning letter that is just on file for Ambassador around the time. It would
Okay.
not work for us because we're a building open to the public. Ambassador is not. It's only as events happen.
Right.
during business hours or when an event's happening, they can't have that there. So again, it needs to go to legal to see what
Okay.
options are, and it's not something we can.
I'll put that down. That's where I want to move towards anyway, because they said, you know, kind of, well, our hands are tied, but they're doing a good job. They're over there 4 times a day, routing people out.
I understand. When have we got any other update on when they're going to be getting to the?
Yeah, we're still, Brian Johnson and I from facilities walked that property again the end of last week, and we're struggling with getting a cement contractor to even bid the ramp. So, but we're gonna get started on removal of the walls and the landscaping and stuff. We'll have that done before winter sets in. We plant and, you know, map out where everything's gonna go, and then they can go. We're gonna start moving. They've moved some of the hardscape. They've removed some of it. They're gonna take the walls out and stuff. They're gonna try your idea of taking that whole slab with the checkerboards and the seats and everything, try to pull it all up as one deal and transport it around the other side of the building. We'll see. We'll give it a try. Good idea.
Anything else that you have for us?
Nope.
Okie dokie. I just want to give an update on the fire stuff. Last night they had over 200 plus lightning strikes between Josephine and Jackson County, which we share a district with the Forest Service with ODF, and we have 6 new fires in the district. They weren't able to fly last night, but National Guard's coming in with equipment today to do recon on the fire. We're hoping that it was able to slow things down.
Did you get any rain anywhere?
They got 1/10 to 1/4 inch of rain, but the smoke was still too bad. So the largest of the fires that started last night was actually over in Jackson County in the Antelope area, East Antelope area. But ODF is pretty good about getting things out. The weirdest thing about it is we do have flash flood warnings in effect for Josephine and Jackson County.
I've heard that. If we have flash flood warnings, that means 2.5 inches of rain in a half an hour. And if that's it, the fire's out. But I don't get that.
Well,
That
we
was
would hope
Google.
to get that, but the other side of it is there was actually a tornado warning in Gold Hill yesterday. So we're having weird weather, and that's just all I could say is it's weird weather. But keeping up to date with all the stuff with emergency services and I should say Cannabis Advisory Committee, I sent out the agenda to the committee members. We're going to forward it out. I had sent it out to all of our staff saying if you got any amendments, get them to me. I waited 24 hours having heard nothing. I sent it out. And then I heard that apparently there were some amendments requested that didn't make it to me. So there may be an amended agenda coming out. But in the meantime, we're going to get that publicized and get started. I am hoping to bring the bylaws to the commissioners on Tuesday. And or we'll go from there. So we need to get those approved and ready to go. But first meeting, it'll be on Tuesday, the 12th, and at the Floral Building at the fairgrounds. And then the next meeting will be on the 26th. So I'm trying to think if there was
And Rob
anything
is
else.
going to be on the 26th.
Correct.
Perfect.
So I don't think there was anything else. So we need to do a general discussion this afternoon?
I don't have anything, and I don't know whether Commissioner Harris can read back.
I don't think so.
I
So,
don't think so. So if we want to skip that one, I'm okay with that.
all right. So we will be canceling our general discussion for this afternoon, and seeing no further business, we are adjourned at 10:24.